So, Faye, I can see your slides. It looks great. And I'll hand the mic over to you.
So funny, I think. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
For some reason, Zoom decided to mute me, so so I don't know why. It's the fun of technology. So my name is Faye. I've spent 25 years working kind of in healthcare, innovation, investments, financial services, and insurtech. From that, I'm the founder and general partner at Velocity Ventures, investing in the kind of wellness, mental health, healthcare kind of startups. I've had three of my own startups, been on the board. I'm an advisor to several accelerators, and I also lead an innovation executive forum and corporate venture capital leader huddle as well. That's kind of a global group too as well. Worked at several of the logos here, but my passion is in investment, innovation, and inclusion to make a positive difference in the world. Do good while doing well from that standpoint. So I will jump in. It's an interesting time in the market. I think if some you may know, it has really shifted in this past year and a half to a more investor friendly market versus a startup friendly market. So what you're seeing is deeper due diligence. A real question on why now, why your company, what's happening in the market, what is the real opportunity, what is your differentiation against the competitors, and really understanding the market right now. And what is now kind of focus is before it was really all about growth, the idea where you're going. And now it's really focused on profitability. Now, part of this is, kind of with the lagging IPO market, kind of concern in the global market and kind of fluctuations, interest rates increasing from that standpoint. So it's really kind of looking at kind of that profitability, sustainability of your market. So my point to you is work smarter, not harder. As some of you might be VCs or on the line or familiar or advising startups for that, typical VCs, sees like 1,000 or more kind of pitches every year. You'll only kind of connect to like a couple hundred of them and then invest in a handful of them. So if you look at that, you really want to make sure you're hitting the right VC that's interested in what you're doing. So qualities of a good pitch. I know from that, like Mark's on here with having his PR background, is you really need kind of that compelling story. What, so what, why, why now for you, and making it clear, concise, and memorable. So that's really important. As we know in kind of communications, they're not only looking at the content, they're looking at how you present, why you present. The other part that I'm always sad. I give like 30 minutes to every founder to kind of let that is in the right fit for our thesis. 30 minutes to pitch. But don't spend that 30 minutes just going through your whole deck and talking at me because you really missed an opportunity to have the conversation. What questions do I have? What feedback do I have for you? And it's the back and forth. And it's actually about building a long-term relationship with a venture capital person. So from that investor, when you take the funding from that, it's like in a marriage that's very hard to divorce. So you really want to do as much due diligence on the investor as they do on you. So here is where I'm kind of saying to put yourself in the investor's shoes. As I mentioned, the thousands, they'll want to know, okay, what is your team and achievements? Are you the right one? So I'm an early stage investor, sweet spot seed, pre-seed, some bridging to Series A. Find out about that. You can look in kind of Crunchbase, PitchBook, other ones. You can kind of see the stages I've invested. And I'm doing healthcare, wellness, and mental health. So don't come at me with an energy company or, something that's totally out of my area, right? So spend that time coming in my shoes and saying, why me? Does it fit both my investment thesis, the big picture, and And maybe some investors have location issues too. They're investing in the US or abroad or even certain states. So put yourself in the investor's shoes of what they're wanting to hear. Story tell, that emotional connection and how it flows from that and making it really memorable and stand out, right? If you're listening to 30-minute pitches every hour within your 8-hour day, 5 days a week, how are you going to make yourself stand out by the end of the week? So I'm going to go through some of those details. Right now, I know we have a short time, so I'm looking forward to your questions and where it is. Really, right now, we're seeing why now. What is the opportunity? How big is that opportunity? Being succinct about it. What is the problem? And really kind of, demonstrating that that problem and opportunity and that market. We're also seeing a lot more time spent on product readiness and differentiation. So if some of you look at DocSend, they have their startup fundraising from that. They're saying it's 46% more time on your product readiness that investors are spending. So what is your product? Describe it, show it, demonstrate it, right? What we're seeing is it's not just a pitch deck or a napkin that is kind of selling the clothes. It's actually that you actually have a ready product that's usable and kind of is ready or has already been launched. The other key one in this market is the traction and proof points. So what have you accomplished today? Do you have customers that want it? Do you have traction, strategic partnerships? You already have proof that your product's effective from that. There's a lot of emphasis in this area as well, especially with the market. Really looking at revenue, your net burn, your gross margin, some key ones like this. I know here they also had a great speaker really talking about showing your financial metrics. So I won't go into that as well, but you can see it on their site. As we look at it, definitely look at your kind of market, understand your market. How big is your market? From the venture capital side, they're looking for a large kind of market and a large opportunity. And where it is. So you want to kind of see how big it is, how scalable, but also how you're going to attack and go to market. It's going to be important. And it's why you versus a competition. I'm also sad to see when I have a startup say, I have no competitors. And since I specialize in this market, then I can just literally name a couple of competitors right off to them. And it just doesn't leave both of us feeling kind of sad from that standpoint, right? So really understand your kind of competitor market and where you're going from that and kind of search that. There is a lot more also emphasis on business models, financials, as I was mentioning, like your revenue, your net burn, your gross margin, how are you going to go to market, your business model, how are you going to sustain? So 94% increase in looking at investors looking at the business models in your deck. So just wanted to kind of say how critical that is for you all. Team, especially early stage, pre-seed, seed. Investors, because it's so early and your product and your market and your company is so early, they're actually mostly investing on you, the team. And I would say team in kind of a larger sense. They're going to want to know how much are you full-time, part-time, versus, contractors. They're going to want to know if you have an advisory committee and extension from that. If you do get the funding, who are you going to hire from that as well? Your growth, your projections, how you plan to acquire customers, additional markets. And here is where I would say on your ask, really expand your ask. Yes, you're asking for money, but ask for feedback, ask for intros, ask for subject matter experts, ask for advisory members. Think about your ask in a more holistic way. 2 is leave time to ask questions and feedback. One interesting question I think is, right, is I told you that we're approached by thousands of startups every year. Ask them what made you want to take this meeting? Why did you respond to our reach out and have this first meeting? What were you hoping to learn? Because that will be an interesting one to really gauge, what was curious, and that will also help you on future ones. Ask them what was the main risk or barriers that they see, concerns that might lead them not to invest. So what were the questions and feedback from that? You, you really want to use this time to really understand what they're thinking, but also how you can improve, and things for you to consider. Other ones are what metrics would make investing a no-brainer for them? And where do you stand? What would make it, so that what are the key metrics you need to drive in order to move some other investors. So those are you know, um, some interesting questions to kind of ask from that. Um, there is long pitches, 10 to 18 from that you're kind of going on the pitch. There's short pitch where you're on a stage competing against others, right? Like you got 2, 3, 4 minutes to pitch. So that's where, you got to keep it really tight. I was recommending kind of these ones to, your problem solution, your traction, your team, and your request from that. One thing people don't often say, but I wanted to make sure I included here is your post pitch. Now you put all this time to prepare. You got to leverage it and learn from it, right? So reflect on it. What did you learn? Give feedback, get together as a group and say, what did you hear? Follow up within 24 to 48 hours with a thank you, any responses, outstanding questions, next steps, right? If you go beyond that, as an investor, I gotta admit, like if you're on 48 hours and you've already done like 10, 12 pitches, it's hard to keep them all straight. So the quicker you do it, the better. Keep a running list of the investors you met, the contact information, what they're looking for, and ask them at the session, hey, is it okay if I send you like a periodic quarterly update? Because that we do to kind of potential investors. Because again, it's about a relationship. They might be saying no this time because it's too early, not the right time. But as you keep them in kind of warm back burner, when it is the right time or when you're raising your next round, now it's a warm lead, not a cold lead that you're saying, hey, I spoke to you a year ago. And now it's a cold lead. You have to kind of start from scratch again. Um, I put some great resources here as well so that you can look on designing your deck, examples, terminology, and resources. And now we get to go to questions.
Awesome. Faye, that was amazing. You did a great job on timing as well as on content. Thank you very much. That was great. I will let everybody start thinking about your questions. You can throw them in the chat and we can start a queue there. I'll kick off with a first question while everybody is either typing their questions in chat or thinking about it. Faye, I really liked the idea that you were talking about the post pitch. It's not something that a lot of people talk about. It's usually how do you pitch when you're on stage. So I really like that post pitch idea. What suggestions do you have in that process after you pitch? What are the best ways to get the attention or get feedback and otherwise from the investors? Is it an email? Are there different approaches? Any suggestions on that front?
So I first asked at the end of the meeting, how, can I keep you updated? Is there, a way that I can give you kind of the quarterly one so that you kind of follow up? But of course you're going to send like kind of thank you, right? Like, thank you for your time. I appreciate your questions. Here are responses. Here's also kind of an update. And then kind of, and if they agree to be on your quarterly because there's interest, then put them on your kind of quarterly update. I'd also see about, like as you're researching them and kind of preparing and right after the meeting, connect with them on LinkedIn, right? Follow their venture capital funds, see where they're investing, where they're going, so that you're up to date on what they're doing as well.
Awesome. That's helpful. A couple of questions in the chat. Ryan, it looks like you've got one about kind of figuring out different VC style. Do you want to come off mute and share some context with your question?
Yeah, you talked about getting to know your VCs, and obviously I can research them and read their bio, read their LinkedIn. But how do you know the nitty gritty? I mean, it seems like every VC I talk to, they want something, they'll say, oh, this is the best way to do the pitch. And you mentioned a few things that I different than other VCs that I've talked to. I mean, some of them, oh, you talked about starting the relationship early, and so getting feedback, whereas some VCs want you to be more succinct and to the point, and they don't want a conversation, they just want to hear your pitch, and then they'll decide. And so how do you kind of ahead of time figure out the audience so that you can tailor your pitch to them?
Yeah. I would kind of, this is the joy of LinkedIn. I would see if there's anyone you know that knows them, or any startups. If you look at their portfolio deck and know any kind of the startups or people that know kind of the startups that know them. The best, I'd actually say with the startups in that portfolio company, because they're going to say, what is it like to be in that portfolio, what type of venture capital firm they are. Like for our firm, I would say we're investor friendly and startup friendly. Like, so we don't demand a board seat because we trust in you and believe in you. We are available to meet with we save time to meet with our portfolio companies every month if they need it from that standpoint. So we're available for them for questions, strategy, introductions, where it's going. And then you also kind of have to look at their track record, right? Like, so if they're investing all over the place across all, like maybe they're still trying to figure out if they're laser focused on a stage or an industry or geography, you're going to kind of figure it out too, right? But Ryan, I wish there was like a silver bullet. The one is I gave you kind of averages of when you kind of like survey VCs and the top things you're looking for, and kind of the market has changed. But we're all like unique beasts from that standpoint, and our investment thesis and what we're looking at. So
Great, thanks. PJ, do you want to come off mute and share some context around your question around industry?
Hi, everybody. Well, here at SBS, we kind of have a lot of medical or healthcare related projects that we look into. So one of the things that we usually do is create a pitch deck in order to present to potential investors. And I would like to know if there was any special sauce that we need to add to our deck, pretty much in the same format as you presented it, to this kinds of investors or company that are interested in the medical or healthcare industry?
no, great question from that. So medical, healthcare, very regulated industry, same as insurance and financial institutions. So they're also, that's a different thing that you kind of have to add to your pitch deck is how are you in compliance addressing regularity. So from there, it's like if you're looking for a specific healthcare or medical kind of startup and where it is if it is it going for FDA clearance? How is it going to get reimbursed? Is it HIPAA compliant? So you really kind of have to look into those parts, because those are going to be questions on the level of maturity and thoughtfulness in your understanding of the healthcare market and the regulatory environment.
That
Does that
makes
help?
sense. Yeah, thanks. One comment that I think I've heard startups get a lot from investors is, oh, you're too early or not a fit for our thesis. Do you have suggestions on, because those for me usually mean there's another reason, maybe potentially, for why an investor wouldn't put money into a company. Is there a way to get to the real feedback that would be helpful for a company, Faye, when they get a no from an investor, but it doesn't provide a lot of feedback?
Yeah, so if they're saying it's too early from that, I would ask, so what metrics, what information do you need to see, and what progress do you need to see to invest, right? So is it a certain threshold? Is it a revenue threshold? Is it a regulatory like FDA clearance threshold? Is it a number of clients? Is it, kind of scale? So ask them if it's too early, what what metrics do they need to see and measures and progress do they need to see that is of interest? If it's not in scope for them, is that like a temporary period, right? Like it might be that in their portfolio, they already have too many of these healthcare or energy companies or whatever companies in there. Is there a time? So is it a temporary out of scope? Like they're also revisiting their strategy, their new funds coming, a new investment thesis, or is it like a no? It's like kind of like, you know, when sustainability companies come to me and I'm like, great, I love that you're doing sustainability. It's just not what I invest in, right? So you know, you got to kind of differentiate, is it a temporary no or like, you know,
It's
it's just a no, right?
that's
And
great.
then you just move on. And I'd
Yeah.
also say to people, think of no as a nice way to say you can move on. You don't have to waste your energy there, right? Like, and like go to the ones that say maybe, right? Like, you know, right? So, because you're going to do a lot of calls and a lot of reaching out, right? So, in some ways, that no gets you closer to the next yes, right? If you kind of move on.
Yeah, that's perfect. Couple more questions from the chat. Spencer, do you want to unmute and ask a question about the last or the ask slide?
Yeah, thanks, Taylor. I really liked that this is about building a relationship, and sometimes I guess it could be off-putting to say we're just here for your money. So what other asks have you seen? Customer introductions, we're looking for a key hire. Can you expound on the asks?
Yes, Spencer, no, great question. Definitely like kind of key hires, subject matter experts, people to go on their advisory board, interested clients, strategic partnerships. You know, those are all ones, you know, kind of feedback from that. So they're definitely, those are the most common that I see. Does that help?
Thank you.
Yeah, that's great. Davey, looks like you've got a question around kind of the advisory board side of things. Do you want to come off mute and share some insight on your question there?
Yeah. First off, Faye, nice to meet you. I was just talking with an investment director not more than a couple days ago, and his biggest push to me was like, hey, you've got to get a really good advisory board. You need to get somebody like Elon Musk, or, you know, could you get Kamala Harris to be on your board? And I'm like, where are you coming from? Like, what's the reality of me, the small person that's just starting a business, right? I have a business. I have good key contacts with places, but I'm not pulling in Ryan Reynolds on my advisory board today, right? Like, is that realistic? Like, I feel like that's something more for him and their group to look like, oh, look who we brought that has this, and this will help you to look really good. And maybe you get a connection to Ryan Reynolds, you know, 5 degrees to Kevin Bacon here. Like, what's really going on here? And what really should I be looking for in my advisory board? Because I put together an advisory board of people that I know and I'm connected with, but now I feel like I have to go bring on other people that I don't know, which is little daunting. That's a lot of reach out just to find those people alone. When I feel like I've got a good idea and I just want to get the investment and not have to worry about, did I bring that one special guy on that I'm going to have to give a piece of my company to later on just because I asked them to be an advisory board member who did jack squat for me. Sorry, just really strong on that opinion right now.
I definitely hear you, Davey. So I think this is also kind of goes to an earlier discussion is all VCs are different, right? So, and all investors are different. So some, to your point, have that other agenda item of like, I want to make sure there's kind of like a big wigs on there and where it's going to. So I would say, to your point, right, it is your company where you're going. You definitely want advisory board members that have some kind of national clout or influencer, or, right, like credibility that are adding to your board. So not only, you know, not only maybe local from that, but some that have some national influencer, national credibility from that standpoint. So it doesn't have to be Elon Musk, but say you're doing EV chargers, though, could it be someone that is coming out of like, you know, one of the top EV charging companies? Is it one of the latest researchers on what is happening on batteries, you know, like out of the universities, you know, like, so you want to bring some of that kind of due diligence. And the advisory board not only has it from the influencer, their knowledge, where they're going, but hopefully they're opening doors for you too, right? So just like you're saying, you want people you can trust, you respect, but they're going to open doors, and it's just not, there are just people that are just names. There are people that are going to actually help you open doors. So
Thank you.
That's great. Faye, another question I had for you is around kind of your approach with companies. What are some of the biggest mistakes or turnoffs or things that entrepreneurs looking for funding do that put them in a bad light or make them less investable? Approach you.
I mentioned a few in the presentation, right? Like, where you're just talking the whole time, right? There's not any, like, they're not even breathing. You kind of worry that they're not breathing. But there's also ones that, like, you give them feedback and they cannot accept it. They're so defensive, and they just, like, so then, as an investor, and I've talked with my other, investor friends too, right, that's very hard. That means that person's not open to feedback, they may not be responsive to market shifts from that, may not hear from their own advisors, cannot adapt to change, right? So, and then you also say, do I want to work with this person for 10 years? Right? That average life of a fund is 10 years. When they're so, like, defensive, and so you think about it, it is all about a relationship that you're building, because they're entrusting in you funding that people entrusted in them. So it's not only them, it's all the people behind them. So that, you have to build that kind of trust. And then other ones are like discrepancies in data. You say one thing, the slide says another, like you've got to build that trust, the rapport, that credibility from that standpoint.
Yeah, that's great feedback. Very helpful. Thank you. Let's see. Anyone else have questions? I'm just scrolling through the chat. And Faye, it looks like you put a lot of great resources in as links for the group. So I would say, please check those out. And if people have additional questions for you, Faye, are you willing to connect with them? What would be the best way to have people connect with you?
LinkedIn is the best way to connect with me. So yeah, just I'm the only Faye Sahai there, so it's pretty easy to find me. I'll put my LinkedIn link here for everyone. So,
Perfect.
and if you also have kind of startups that you're interested in funding I'll just put our Velocity website on there as well. Because we have a way for people to kind of submit their ideas, pitches, and everything like that. So,
Perfect.
right.
Awesome. We're right at time in terms of the Midday Connect schedule. So really appreciate this, Faye. Great presentation. I think, are you okay if Hannah shares that with the attendees here, your presentation?
Yeah,
Or,
I sent Hannah the updated PDF today, so she has that.
okay. All right. Perfect. Well, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. And really appreciate the education and the insight that you shared today. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
Thanks. We'll see you all next week. Appreciate it.